Giving a scholarship to a child in Africa affects his entire community because he or she shows others that there is hope for success. Welcome back to a new episode. Welcome to AfroTennis TV, the tennis podcast where tennis and Africa meet. Today, Matthew and I, your co-hosts of the podcast, we're introducing a new topic of the day as well as new guests. Matthew, tell us, what is the topic of the day
A
today?
serious topic today is about education in Africa. So we know that education in Africa, unfortunately, is a little bit difficult to reach. And so that's why, so today we decided to invite two persons in this podcast who do the best in order to give an access to education for young kids in Africa through tennis. And we're happy to have you today. So Julius,
Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Julius from Uganda and his association Tennis for All, and Sadia from Togo with the association Interrecruit Foundation. Sadia, as we say, ladies first. Can you maybe tell us a little bit, small thing about you, and after we give the mic to Julius.
Well, thank you so much, Andrea and Matthew, for inviting us on this podcast and for having us on the Sunday morning. My name is Sadia too, but I go by Sadia. I am the founder of Interrecruit Foundation, which helps young and talented players from Africa to get college scholarship to come to the United States and study. I discovered college tennis when I was in South Africa. I had a scholarship from Amin Ben Maklouf to go to South Africa and train for a little bit when I was 16 or 17. And that's when I discovered college tennis. Then after that, I came back to Togo. I didn't know where to start. And luckily, a friend of mine, Salif Kante, he's also here in the US. He was playing for Georgia Perimeter College, and he reached out to me and he asked me if I wanted to play college tennis. And he told me what to do, the step, all the tests that you have to take. I did that. I got a scholarship. I came to the States. And when I was getting my master's, I was thinking, right? I'm like, I remember playing against other kids in Africa and they were beating me first round, second round. I was mostly going far in doubles. So I'm like, so what happened to these players? And I was trying to check back on them and they're like, yeah, we're still in our countries. And I'm like, we need to do something to be able to give them the opportunity to see if college tennis is their thing. So that's how Interrecruit got created in 2015 in Florida, to be precise. And then from there, things just took off. We're just getting a lot of support and friends are reaching out and we were able to grow and be where we are today.
That's so nice. Almost a decade since you started. I can't wait
Almost
to
a
hear
decade.
more of your
Yeah, I need to make like an anniversary post or something.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear more stories throughout the podcast.
You see, now I'm a little bit scared, you see, because Andrea, former college tennis player, now Sadia, former college tennis player.
I wish I met you before,
I know. I wish we met,
No, I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to play anymore against you. And so now maybe Julius. So please, my friend, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
Thank you, Andrea and Matthew, for hosting us. And I'm Julius Piobe, a co-founder of Tennis for All Uganda, and also I work as a project coordinator for the project. So we started up in 2012, so it's been like now 12 years, I think. And one of the things was first aim was to create a safe area for the kids in the slums where they can come and play tennis, and focus on it was mainly creating a safer area for the kids, and that was the court. So that was the main aim of our project. Like first, let's create a safe area for the project. But with time, when the project went on growing, we looked at different issues that were affecting these kids, and so we thought like, okay, how can we establish something that can help these kids address these kids' issues? So that's when we came up with the idea of Tennis for All Uganda, and the aim was to create to use tennis as a tool for social development and advocate for these kids who need the help. So mainly it was starting up with simple programs like the education program was one of the first programs we started with, and then we went on growing. So right now we have different programs. We have scholarship program, we have the health awareness programs, we have the skills development program, the mentorship program. So we have right now a lot of programs that we are using to advocate for these kids in the slums. Mainly work with the slums, but our main concept is like getting these kids out of the slums. Like we want to give them the first step to get out of these slums. So that's the first thing that we do. Like create, and Matthew has been in one of our centers in Kampala, and he has seen that we get these kids out of these communities, and then they come. Some move 5-8 kilometers just to come to the tennis court to play.
So basically, Julius, so if we understand so all together, you see, and I think that it's even really important for the people who are going to listen to this podcast. So you basically so choose tennis in order to, I would say, attract young kids from the slum to the association. That's right.
Yes, so our main focus is tennis, and we use tennis as a tool towards, like as I said, towards social development. So we use tennis as a tool, as an entry point, in a way how to support these kids. Like we use tennis as an entry point for these kids to come in and play. But mainly the first focus, and one of the things that I think has been one of our success stories, we've created a safer area whereby right now a parent knows where their kids are. When they come to tennis, know that okay, my kid is here, so they are safe, and they know whom to ask whether the kid is there or whether it's not there. So the main focus is our main entry point is tennis.
So the question that I could have for you, so why did you choose tennis? You see, because like the biggest cliche about tennis is to say that it's an expensive sport, that you need a court, you need a racket.
We were discussing in the first episode, yeah.
So why was it choice of tennis and not football? And even you see, in order to go a little bit further with the question, so yeah, so what did you do in order to do this setup? So regarding equipment and other things like that.
So that's a good question. Why tennis? I'm a tennis coach, and I played tennis. I never played tennis like you guys, but I played tennis for fun. And one of the things I benefited from tennis was I got lots of support from tennis. I did. I'm a physical engineer, an architect by profession, and it went through tennis. Like I got someone that sponsored me through tennis, through the tennis community, and me and my colleague Vincent thought like this could be a great opportunity for the kids that also to use tennis as to get more support for these kids to see how they can achieve their dreams. Because my dream has been always being an architecture, and I'm like it was achieved through tennis. So that's we felt like the only thing we know, me and my colleague, is tennis. So and there's nothing else we could do beside using tennis as a way of giving back to the community that brought us up. Of course, we come from the same backgrounds of the kids we support right now. We came from the slums. You know how things are in the slums, so we know how tough life is in the slums. So we thought like tennis would be the best thing. Do that. This is what we know. Tennis could be the best sport for us to help these kids, and that's how we ended up using tennis as our tool.
I wanted to ask Elia, because I think both stories are very similar in terms of how they got started, even though they started on different stages. As in terms of you, Sadia, we know a little bit about your background, but tell us about how was the first time that you meet tennis, and and the experience that you got watching a tennis match on TV and getting inspired?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I think the way I started motivated me to push through with my foundation, right? Because I started watching tennis at home. Just, on Saturdays, usually back home, that's when they do the sports edition. And I always say, because prior to tennis, I played soccer, I played handball. I know handball is huge in Germany. My niece plays handball and she's really good at that. And then I run track. So I was really good at track. I used to do track meets and stuff like that. And when I discovered tennis through TV, I was like, I asked my sister, I'm like, where can I play this sport? Just because it was cute. The ladies were wearing the outfit, it was cute. And my sister told me, so I usually walk to go. It's like an hour walk. I'll walk, maybe an hour, maybe more. So I walked there on Saturdays. My first time I went there, I stepped on the court and the coaches were there. They were looking at me funny. It was just a two tennis courts. I was back home this March, and you can see I did an event there. You can see the tennis court where I started, and then I told them I want to play tennis. So they thought it was weird. She just walked on and she wants to play tennis, and they told me, okay, to start, you have to be a ball girl for the members. So when the members play, I stand behind them and I catch the balls, and after they're done, the coaches will make like a 30-minute and they'll teach me tennis. So that's how I started playing tennis, and I really liked it. And at that time, we had a French army that was visiting that area, and one of the generals was a tennis player. So he would come and play, and all the kids would come and pick up the balls for him. And he thought it was really nice to have kids just picking up balls for him. And he's like, "So what are these kids doing here after this?" And the president of the club, it was a small club, he's like, "Well, they don't do anything; they just go home, and if coaches have time, they'll give them lessons." And he's like, "I want to do an academy." And from there, he brought in rackets from France. He brought in racket for us, and we'll come Wednesday afternoon, Saturday, and he was paying the coaches to train us. So they would train us, and we'll leave the rackets there, and then we'll go. So that's how I started tennis, and slowly I got better. And I was picked by the federation to travel and play for Togo because they do like national selection. And I started playing for Togo. But I would always walk to go play. And I earned my first racket that I can keep after winning my very first local tournament in my city.
That's a
So,
huge achievement.
yeah, that's how it started.
Seda, it's really funny because when you tell your story, you see, it reminds me exactly so what I saw in Kampala, so in Kololo,
Yeah.
Kololo Tennis Club, because I think that most of the kids, and Julius, maybe you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but most of the kids that started with tennis, it was exactly the same. So they started bad boys, you see, and after they say, "Oh yeah, can we play a little bit?" And then pop, and you see so it's funny that in Togo and Uganda share actually the same
It's the same story.
experience.
Yes.
So what I find really really interesting in all this story is to see that tennis, so which is actually just a sport, for example, so for us, so for basically in Europe, so when we play a sport, it's either to have fun or to be, I would say, like professional. But the part what I find really that I find very interesting in Africa, it's actually tennis. So basically, it's more than sport because it gives an access to the children,
Yeah.
to the education.
Level entry is at 6 years
Mm-hmm.
to 14 years. With the scholarship program, it's more of like when we are with these kids, um, we try to interview them because our first at the entry point we have kids that do that. These kids are coming from the slum. There are a lot of stuff that's going on into the slum. So what we do is like more first. They first go into what we call the rehabilitation process of like okay, these are the rules here because these kids are coming from a place where they don't have rules. They are their own boss. So we first go through a lot of rehabilitation rules, how you stay in an organized society. So this time we start understanding whether these kids categorize these kids that go to school, that kids that don't go to school, that also kids that also are really struggling to be in school. So, and that gives us an idea on whom to sponsor and who's first priority and who's second priority. So we look at that during the interview. We try to look at those priority options. Who should we sponsor first? Who comes on the sponsorship first? So, and another thing, actually, the main thing we usually look at, let me say, for the kids that are not in school is like, do you want to be in school? Because that's the first question. Like, do you want to be in school? We don't want to, because this is not our money. It's someone's money. It's Matthew's money. It's his money. So we don't want to spend money on a kid that wouldn't like to be in school.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we try to see that ask these tough questions. Do you want really to be in school? And we have one of our social workers that we work with that really tries to engage with these kids and like, yeah, these kids want to be in school, or don't want to be in school. They just want to play tennis. Because we have a lot of kids that we've worked with that really want to play tennis, and these are good tennis players, but they don't want to be in school. And we've had these challenges of like, oh, we had to let kids go because our main aim is not creating a star is one of our main buckets on the bottom lists, but our main aim is like to help these kids succeed in other areas, like special education and achieving. Because we know, me and you, we know how tennis is in Africa, and it's kind of expensive to create a star. So we feel like education is the way forward. So one of the things, like on our side, however good you are, but you don't want to be in school, you might not have a place with tennis for us. So we go through processes to make sure that we select kids, right kids for the program.
And you, so at Interrecruit Foundation, so I know that it's a little bit different because we are not talking anymore about kids, but almost about teenager and almost young adults who are more looking for getting a degree. Or what are the perspectives that I can get? So by getting in touch with Interrecruit.
Awesome. That's I like that question because it's a little bit similar to Julius. If you're good at tennis, because currently I do have kids. I don't know why I call them kids, but I think they're still kids. I do have kids that are really good. When I say good, they're really good. And when I reach out, when I discover them on social media, or if somebody referred them to me and I reach out, I'm like, hey, I really like your game. You can get a scholarship, right? And we start talking, and I'm like, okay, when did you graduate from high school? And they'll be like, oh, I never graduated. From there, I will try to pull back a little bit, and I'll ask them, do you still want to go back to school? If you do, you have to go back to school, get your high school degree, and then we can reconnect and work together. So the process is easy. Sometimes I discover kids on social media. Sometimes they reach out to me, or sometimes some of our recruits will say, Sadia, hey, I used to play with this kid who's really good. You want to talk to them, right? So it's coming from different directions. And once I start talking to you, the first thing I ask, have you graduated? Or when are you graduating? Because it's college tennis. I keep telling them when they get a scholarship, I'm like, college tennis is not tennis college. So education is going to come first. Yeah. If you come, you fail your classes, there's absolutely nothing the coach can do to save you. Like literally nothing. You can be his top player, top rank junior player or college player in the US. If you fail at classes, you're not going to play. Right? So I make sure I help them understand that education comes first, and tennis was just a tool that they use to get to come to college and to also get the education paid for. Because some of them are forgetting is how expensive education is in US. Tuitions go from My tuition was 30,000 a year. There's no way my parents can pay that in my wildest dream, right? So when it hits me that education is expensive in US, I have to take things seriously. You know what I mean? That's what I tell them. I'm like, the school is actually paying you to represent them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's how we go through the process. Education first. If they're still interested in going to school, then that's when I start asking, what's your UTR ranking? If the UTR is low, I tell them upfront, you need a budget. There's no
But
school. Yeah, go ahead, Matthew. Yeah.
if I can ask you, you see, about like the UTR, you see, even for us European people, you see, it's difficult to get, you see, like the equivalence we say in English, you see. So,
Yeah.
for example, I've got my German level. So, how can I, for example, attest or show that I've got like a UTR? So, I can maybe imagine that in Africa it's even like so more difficult. So, how can player say, okay, this is my level? So, how can they prove
Yeah,
that?
so the French, you know, because it's hard for me because I don't deal with Europe side. I'm only deal with African side. So if
Yeah.
they don't have UTR, I ask them for the ITF ranking.
Okay.
Because all the juniors in Africa play Africa,
Yeah.
all the juniors play ITFs,
Yeah.
right? And from there we can pull your record, we can see how long you've been doing it, how good you are, and then we take you from there.
So,
In
so
Europe,
basically,
yeah.
if I understand, so in order to be seen by the to be seen by the Americans, I would say,
Yeah, to get a
it's
scholarship.
important. It's important to play ITF tournament in order to get a ranking and say, okay, this is my level. I can bring something to you. So
It's
accept.
not only is important to play tournaments because coaches don't have time to go and looking, tracking, oh, how long has he played, even though they can see that. So that's what I come in. I make sure I make the recruiting process easy for coaches because I was an assistant coach too when I was in college, when I was doing my grad school. So to recruit a player, I knew the process. It was so much work. Kids are sending videos and the coach has to sit there and click and watch. So that's why I'm like, before I put my kid out there or my players out there, they need to hit these boom, boom, boom. And if they don't hit what I think is going to give them the chance to get recruited, I tell them you need a budget. You need to make sure you have money on the side. Tell your parents because there's no school that's going to give you a full ride or even 80%. You have to come up with money to come to and study, right?
And is that the same budget or it can be like a variable? I would say so.
So come
Like,
again.
no, I was saying because you are talking about a budget. So, for example, once again, you see, in order to have like a precise ID, so is that a fixed budget? Is that
Yeah.
how much are we talking about?
So the budget depends on the school that you're going to. If you're
Okay.
going to a 2-year school, which we call the junior colleges, they are more cheaper. So some of the school, the budget might be 10,000, 5,000, right? If the school is small. And we do have cheap schools, like very cheap schools that you can go to as well. But the school, the education level is not going to be as solid as when you go to a top Division 1 school. Then we're talking about, I don't know how to put it, but there's a big difference, right? So the budget depends on the school that you're going to, and it depends on your level. For example, I'm going to give you a quick example. If you have a player that has a UTR, let's go with the guys because the guys is a very tough one. If you have a player that has a UTR of 6 and you have a player that has a UTR of 11, okay, not only the coach is going to pick the 11 UTR, and if they both have to come up with a budget, the 11 UTR player can come up. The coach can say, okay, pay 3,000. 3,000 that will cover maybe his rent off campus. But the 6 UTR player, the coach is going to be like, you need to come up with 10,000. You're going to pay for your housing. You're going to pay for your food. You're going to pay for your books. I'm only going to give you access to classes. And that's it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that was helpful.
No, for sure. No, that
Definitely.
I learned already a lot about that. I had another question, but so I missed a little bit.
I
Yeah,
wanted to highlight something that I find very interesting. That if anyone that is listening to us right now that are finding this topic very relevant, to let us know in the comments so that we can continue the conversation.
Yeah.
I would like to add this question both to Julius and Sadia because I find that both of your players kind of are in different stages of their life, but still you guys are providing them educational values at the same time. So what would you, I mean, for example, Julius, I would say like motivation, and then Sadia would say commitment and discipline. But what are your like three main educational values that you think players gain on your organization?
As you said, like the main values, I think for us on my side, one of the things they get out of is one, as you said, commitment. The kids become committed and focused on that. They know where they're going. So the main first value is we need that commitment for the kids to make sure that they can stay in school. And our main value is discipline. You're not disciplined, you don't have a place with us. So and discipline is key, and loving what you do. Those are
Passion.
the three main values that we focus on: commitment, discipline, and loving what you do. So if the kids have all those, they're all, we are with them, and we are happy to do what we can to make sure that they succeed in their education.
Yeah, I think for Interrecruit, while we're bringing, with the requirements that we have, not only you're getting your education paid for, right? You're getting a degree that's coming from one of the top universities in the world, right? I'm not just going to say in US because any degree you get from US shows value because the amount of work the teachers, the professors put in to teach and do the amount of research that goes behind every material, every class they're teaching. When you graduate from that, like they put you out there to be great. So you are getting your future set. That's what I tell them. I'm like, you're getting a scholarship, it's true, you're going to school, but once you're done, no matter where you go, you're going to be different. You're going to stand out. And I need you to start behaving that way. We don't want you out there cracking rackets. We don't want you out there drinking at night, coming when you know you're in college. You have to carry yourself to show you're a college athlete. And college athletes, anywhere they go, you can tell they're a college athlete. They're disciplined. They they have character, right? They're ambitious and they work so hard. Any college athlete that doesn't work hard, they will never make it.
And they don't appreciate what they have. Yeah.
Exactly. They'll never make it. We used to wake up 5 in the morning and go jogging, and that was nothing.
yeah.
You know what I
Now,
mean?
yeah, exactly. I realize with what we say, you see, that tennis and connected with education, so can bring a lot of benefit in the life of
Yeah.
this kid, teenager. So I want to ask you because you see, so you are like way closer than us, Julius and Sadia. So what are the benefits that you can see? For example, it's a kind of before and after, you see. So, for example, if I have like a situation, a story in mind of someone that you work with, so how was the person before getting in your organization, and how was the person after?
Um, as I said initially, it's like one of the first thing that, and what I say is one of our success stories, like creating a safer area for these kids, whereby they can come and express themselves through playing tennis. And I think this, when I say this is one of our biggest success story, and was initially we had these kids that one we had a lot of we have a lot of gangs in, let me say, in the
Oh, wow.
slums, and these gangs are mainly like 80% kids between the age of 6 to 14. And do that in these areas, everyone is on their own. However much they have parents, these kids are on their. Everyone is on their own because the parents wakes up in the morning, goes to look for what the kids are going to eat, and also the kids are there without anything, so they have to move around, figure out what they're going to do, and they end up engaging into these gangs, and then they start robbing people and fighting. It's always like mostly, let me say, one of the slums that Matt worked with was Naguru slums. So like but one of the things that I think one of our success stories, like more of like giving these kids a purpose in life. So they come and pick up a racket, and then they will see them expressing themselves and maximizing their potential in courts. And through that, I think there is a lot of stuff. Another thing is like we started up a food program. Then we realized that this food program was one of the main reasons why kids joined gangs, because they wanted something to eat. So when we started up a food program, we had some elders from the community telling us that, coming and appreciating us about what we had started, because they're like, okay, this is one of the things that has helped these kids to be in, because now they know that at the end of the day, after tennis, I have a meal that I'm gonna have a meal. So these kids have, it has brought down the level of crime rate in the community. So right now the community is more safer because of this program. So for me, I believe that when I look at it right now, it's like these two, creating a safer area for these kids, and also creating a food program whereby kids believe that they know that they have a meal at the end of the day, as it's something that we are proud of. Like at least we can see our impact in the community right now, and you can see it with the kids too. Like see how they are. They are always happy to come and play tennis. They can play tennis from morning to evening without even taking without food or without stopping. They always play, whether training or they always be at the tennis court. So I think these are some of the success. These are the two success stories we can say that we are proud that we started tennis for all, and then we're like, okay, these are the things that keep us moving. Like, okay, now if we wake up and we say that we're closing tomorrow, where are these kids going? We're going back. We shall be doing them something bad. So we always focus on like, okay, these are the success stories that keeps us moving forward.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing. 100%.
Wow, that's amazing.
And from your side, Sadia, because I would say that the step is even bigger for your young adults, not the kids, you see. So, and do you have like Julius to see like success stories to share, like someone who flies to the US in order to do something big regarding tennis education? So yeah.
Yeah, so I can say that the type of success stories that we see, our very first recruit, she's now becoming a nurse. She's in nursing school. She's become a nurse now. Not only she's setting up her career, she's not going to be a nurse. She's giving back to her family, right? She's taking care of her family now. Her family is set. They don't have to worry anymore. And once she become a full-time nurse working, that's a different level, right? She'll be unstoppable. And we do have kids that even if they're still in college, they're giving back, right? You see them send rackets, send back home shoes. So they're giving back to their brothers and sisters. And one thing also, we have players.
So nice.
I love when we do that.
I can definitely relate to that.
That's amazing. When they do, I'm like, oh, that's touchy. You guys are really doing what this project is all about, giving back. And then the last one would be players going on a pro tour or going to play Davis Cup for their countries. And I have a junior. I have a player from Ivory Coast. He's not only he played Davis Cup for his country, so he helped his team, his country, move up to the next level at the with the Davis Cup. He's
Oh,
now
do you mean Isaac?
no, Isaac is from Togo, so I'm talking about junior.
Sorry. I understood wrong. Sorry.
No, junior, he's done with school, so he's now on the pro tour. And Isaac went back home recently. He played Davis Cup for Togo. No, he played Davis Cup. He went for 3 rounds, and they qualified Togo from zone 4. Now they're in zone 1.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you know
That's
that.
Progress.
And coming from Togo, because I'm from Togo, Isaac's story. Isaac was the first recruit we got from Togo. So him leaving Togo really motivated all the other juniors to start coming, because people are like, Sadia, you only recruit players from other countries. Nobody came from Togo. I'm like, we're working on it. So once Isaac left, he opened the gate for other juniors to dream. And they're like, okay, I'm going to go get my ACT done. What else do you need me to get done? So they're all like getting it done now. And I have the support of the federation in Togo, which is huge. The president is doing an amazing job. So he's helping us find the juniors. And on top of that, if there's any financial issues with the families, he's stepping in. That's huge.
Yeah.
Because
That's
you know
good.
how expensive it is to get a US visa. You need to get the I-95. You need to pay for and there's so much expense, so many expenses. So he steps in when we need him. And that's under him, 5 kids left, 5 kids just came on a scholarship. And the girls, they're going back next month. They're playing all African games for Togo. You see what I mean? Like,
That's good.
it's a big circle, but the biggest achievement I think will be for them to finish their education and have a career.
When one person is involved in the project, actually he has like a lot of consequences on a lot of persons. You see?
Yeah, like
true.
Julius was saying, I mean, kids playing all day, that's instead of playing with guns, they're playing with, I mean, that's a huge story.
And you see, and I think that even from, because in the first episode of the podcast, so with Andrea, so we are talking about, you see, like this big cliche that we've got about tennis. You see that it's a elitist sport, a sport for white people, and I think that it's really important to show to the world actually that tennis is happening everywhere, you see, and that the talents are there, but they just need to be maybe a little bit more supported. That's why it was really important to have you, because you show that everything can be possible. Tennis is just like an entry door. It's an entry door, but after it can open the door for a lot of opportunities and perspectives.
Everywhere you can go.
Everywhere I can go.
No, there is a very relevant quote that is on your website of Interrecruit that says, giving a scholarship to a child in Africa affects his entire community because he or she shows others that there is hope for success. I think this is very relevant to what we have been talking so far, because it's showcasing that if a kid, from one kid, it can impact many kids. And throughout organizing this podcast, we came into a very interesting data that I think is important to share. This is from UNESCO website. All of regions on sub-Saharan Africa have the highest rate of education exclusion. Over 1/5 of children between ages of 6 and 11 are out of school, followed by 1/3 of youth between the ages about 12 and 14. According to the UIS data, almost 60% of youth between the ages of 15 to 17 are not in school.
So I have a question for Julius, if you guys don't mind. So Julius, when the kids get to, did you say 14 is where your foundation is, your work is capped at, like they get to 14?
No, 14 is like our entry point. Like that's where we stop to enter. But most of we have kids from 6 to 18 years. But when registering kids, because we register annually, so when registering kids, we start from 6 years to 14 years, and Then,
Okay.
but we have, yeah.
So do they get to play any ITF tournaments, any tournaments that will help them get a ranking?
Yes. Right now at the project, and I think it was one of the I never talked about it as a success story, but I think for the last 8 years, the project has been providing like players to the national team, starting from the age of 12 to 16, that have been playing for the national team, and they've been managed to qualify for play into the zonals. This time, the zonals, we had like 6 players from the project that we are playing for under 14 and under 16. And yeah, the under 14 came out as the champion for the East African juniors. Right now, we have players that haven't started playing for the Davis Cup, but hopefully very soon they'll be back. So we have good players around that really have promising
Okay.
career.
Because I want to use this platform, right? So if you have kids who graduate from high school and they are good, right? We can start a project at Interrecruit where we have recruits from from Tennis for All, because some schools in the US have programs where they put money on side to help kids like that. So that's something we can do together, collaborate. AfroTennis, you guys are welcome if you have ideas to really set these kids up for success. So from Tennis for All, have them graduate, and they always going to be under your thing, because I think this is amazing.
Exactly. That I would say it would be like the perfect loop in the collaboration. You see, I think that Julius, because you've got really like these kids from scratch. You see, and some of these kids, like Joe could say, they dream big. Maybe with this collaboration, it could give them really like this opportunity to dream big. Because if I take the example of Boris, so okay, Boris, he was not really a kid from Tennis for All Uganda, but he was the number one in Uganda, and I know that for him it was maybe a little bit difficult to use his talent to get something. So thankfully he reached his goal. But I think that even for the African continent, it's really important to work together in order to give the best opportunities for everyone.
I keep telling people all the time, I'm like, in Africa, we need to work together, right? My first tournament edition we did in Ghana, it was huge. So I called all the Ghanaian players, and they all have like their organization. I reached out to all of them. I'm like, we need to be working together. There's no point somebody doing, if you're doing your event, we come, we support you. If I'm doing mine, you all come and support me. So we can reach out to more kids, we can open the doors, and we can be more exposed to the world. We get to get more support. At some points, people don't get it. It started well and people start fading. And I keep reaching out. Me, I love asking. I have no shame asking, like, hey, give us this, we need this, because we do need it. I can't do everything by myself. So I reach out, like, hey, you helped us last year, can you help us again? We need help. You know what I mean?
And I use this occasion, you see, because you see, so we can use even like this platform as a big shout out. How can we help you guys in order to support people of your organizations?
I think for me it's more of like right now, as when we started the program, it was more not of run on funding. It was more of like tennis, and it was more of like kids playing. So that was our main focus, like kids playing and having a place where they can come and play. And with time, the organization has grown. Like right now, we have 45 kids that we sponsor under scholarship program, and we have a preschool that provides free education to kids. Like right now, we have kids between the age of 3 to 6 years into school being provided free education. One thing we still lack is stable funding, and I've been talking it with Matt. Like one of the things we're still lacking is stable funding to make sure that if we can even get a source of funding whereby that we can get like an example of like, okay, we can get a stable funding of $100 coming in on a monthly basis. It will give us a clue how to budget for this money than having today having $200, tomorrow you have $10, and the next time. So our main biggest challenge has been like funding, and we still are looking for people that we can collaborate with that are willing to fund our program, especially the education program. So that's where like this program cannot stop. We have to make sure that it keeps on moving because it cannot stop. It's a lot of kids. For almost 60 kids are looking upon us to see how we can stay in school. So yeah, so I believe this platform can give us that opportunity to make sure that
in order to have like a kind of precise information. For example, I want to support a kid, so for the whole year, so approximately, so how much can it cost to me? So for the whole year.
For the primary level, it's 250 euros. I think that's like around $260.
Okay.
But yeah, for
To
the
support the
secondary,
kids.
yeah, to support one kid.
So basically, it's about $20 per month.
We have a school. It's called. It's a preschool for the. We realize that school is preschool is expensive in Uganda, and most of the kids don't have that opportunity to go to school at an earlier age. So when we moved because we have another center right now that's out of Kampala, and when we moved to this center, we realized that there are a lot of young kids between the age of 3 that are not going to school to 6. So we decided to set up this school to make sure that these kids can have that chance of starting up school at an earlier age than going into school without the fundamental basics of school. So we decided to set up the school. And so far right now in the school, we have 30 kids, but right now the school started last week, so we have 28 that are around, but most of the time, last year we had 40 kids around that we support with this education. And then we have the 40 kids that are being sponsored in primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions. So yeah, right now we have, let me say, 80 kids that are really supported by the organization to make sure that they're into school.
And from your side, Sadia, so same question like Julius, so about help, if it's about material, it's about like financial help. So
Yeah.
what can people do in order to support your project and your organization?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Because I think any organization needs help. So ours is more of sharing what we do, so we can reach out to more kids in Africa. It's basically sharing our events, sharing our recruits, showing kids that there's a possibility there. So sharing, and we also do fundraisers, and just sharing the fundraisers, reaching out to people, basically sharing, because I think that's where we can reach out to more kids, right? And more supporters, because maybe people don't know what we do.
Yeah.
And if somebody knows that, hey, this organization, they're doing a fundraiser and the money they're using is to help pay for some kids' tuition because something happened and their scholarship got jeopardized and blah blah blah. I think people will start helping. I think honestly that's all the help we need, right? Sharing our fundraisers or donating to the fundraising projects that we have, and then sharing what we do. I think those are the only two things that we really need, because once the kids come here, the school does the rest. And when they have an issue, they'll be like, hey, can you support us here? Like I have some kids that their coach got fired, right, for administrative reasons. So the scholarship got jeopardized. So that's the current fundraiser that I'm running. It's just to help them. It's nothing that's going to go in my pocket. It's just to help them. And I put it in there. I'm like, hey, if you want to talk to the kid themselves before you donate to them, I made the list of the kids and what they're majoring in, just for transparency, So sharing and just sharing what we do, so we reach out to more people.
And you see, like in order to conclude, I would say like this podcast of today, because you were talking about sharing, and so with Andrea. So, and actually, it was a good idea from Andrea. So we try, you see, at the end of each podcast to exactly. But Andrea, I'll let you introduce that. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was first thing first. Let the guests give a huge shout out to you guys for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure the audience that are watching this episode are also appreciated. Please let us know your favorite part of the podcast in the comments, and also let us know which African tennis player or African tennis coach would you like to see on the next pod, and perhaps Sadia, Julius, who would you like to see on the next
I'm
pod?
thinking about any organization that needs visibility, that needs exposure. That is, I mean, they're doing a good job. Whew.
Do you have a name? Like the first name in your head?
Yeah, the first one in your head.
Yeah, that's really, because I have so many, so I don't want to hurt any feelings, you know. Because if I somebody be like, well, you just mentioned this person, what? Yeah.
Just give us all the names. So like that, no one is jealous. All the names.
We have a Hope Performance, right, which is a foundation in Ghana, and then we have the Michael Norte Foundation. We have Emmanuel Menson's Foundation. We have Oyebok Tennis Academy
in Cameroon. Yeah.
Last time they did an event, they had 1,500 kids.
Oh my gosh!
I help recruit some of their players, right? So that's why I communicate with them here and there, and I help with some of their recruits come here. If you can reach out to them, that would be a huge podcast.
Yeah.
He's doing an amazing thing. He's based in Cameroon.
He's in the list.
Okay, so he's in the list. Definitely play people in Ghana. There's a lot of foundation in Ghana that they're doing amazing. They're changing the way, you know, things are happening in Ghana. ONJ, play your game. That coach only has 2 tennis courts. He speaks French, so he might be only doing this in French. He only has 2 tennis courts. He sent over about 5 recruits that got scholarship by himself. He currently have like 6 more recruits that are in the list. He's working. He's not getting paid. He's working. You know what I mean? So that'll be one person that will list on top. ONJ, play your game.
Andrea, we have no excuse for the next podcast. So now we've got our guest.
We're definitely taking notes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Listening to us right now. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast of today. Julius, would you like to give a shout out to any of your team or any player from your organization?
So, but I would like to thank you thank you guys for hosting this. Thank you, Saidi. I think it's been like how many years? 10 years since we last connected. It's been a long time because we last connected 2015 when you sent us some equipment. Really appreciate that support, and shout out to every person that has really supported the program. Matthew, you've been an amazing supporter, and everyone, I really appreciate the support. We really appreciate you, the people that keeps us moving every day. Thank you so much.
Julius, if somebody wants to send in equipment, is there any other way you guys are going by right now?
We still go through the same, like we either use the poster or DHL, but DHL is kind of expensive, but mostly the poster is kind of cheap, so it takes long. But we end up we receive the equipment.
Okay, Andrea, I let you the last word for today.
Perfect. Make sure you guys are subscribing and downloading AfroTennis TV on YouTube, Spotify, or any podcast app that you use. Matthew, it's a pleasure to do a podcast with you today, and a pleasure for the guests for coming up. Don't forget that you can shop our
show your merch.
our website coming soon.
Awesome.
And looking forward to see you on the next part.